Welcome to the Get Trauma Informed podcast, dedicated to unraveling the complexities of trauma, its pervasive impact, and the journey towards holistic recovery and realignment. If your radiance has ever felt muted, like I and thousands of others, you're in the right place to reignite your inner light. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast. There are moments in life when you realize your story started long before you had words, long before you could speak, long before you could even breathe on your own. And for many of us, the trauma did not begin in childhood. It began in the womb. Welcome back to the Get Trauma Informed podcast. I'm your host, peer-to-peer wellness coach Liz Blanding. Today we begin a new series on relationship trauma. I want to begin this series by taking us deeper into how trauma shapes our early understanding of love, safety, and identity. And to start at the very beginning, the moment before birth, the moment where I first learned to brace for impact. I want to share something with you that I did not understand until I began my trauma recovery journey. Although I was not yet born, I came into the world already carrying fear. My mother was experiencing domestic violence during her pregnancy with me. The home was filled with turbulence, arguing, and emotional instability. Even though I was in the womb, my developing body absorbed every emotion, every vibration, every moment of fear she felt. A baby in the womb may not know what words mean, but the baby knows what fear looks like. The baby knows when the environment is unsafe. The baby knows when their mother's heartbeat is racing. That baby knows when stress is filling the air. And I carried that imprint into my first breath. I entered this world already tensed, already alert, already wired for danger. I didn't know it then, but this was the beginning of my relationship with trauma. It shaped how I understood love. It shaped how I understood safety. It shaped how I understood myself. I learned early that the world was not always a gentle place, and that belief followed me in every relationship I had as a child and as an adult. See, many people do not realize that trauma can begin in the womb. Science now supports what survivors have always felt in their bodies. A baby absorbs the emotional environment of the mother. If she's afraid, the child's nervous system learns fear. If she's unsafe, the child's nervous system becomes wired for survival. If she is stressed and overwhelmed, the baby becomes familiar with stress as a baseline. This is called womb trauma or prenatal emotional imprinting. This early wiring influences how we understand love, how we respond to conflict, how we attach to others, how we recognize safety, and how we make choices in relationships. Not because we are broken, but because our foundation was shaped in survival instead of safety. This is why some people enter adulthood feeling unsafe, uncertain, and unworthy. Not because of poor choices, but because the blueprint for safety was never installed. When I look back now through the eyes of the trauma-informed girl, I no longer judge myself for the decisions I made. I understand why fear felt familiar. I understand why chaos sometimes felt like home. I understand why I enter relationships where safety was not present. I was not seeking danger. I was seeking what my body recognized, and my body recognized fear before it recognized love. Trauma recovery taught me the truth. My beginning does not define my destiny. But I must acknowledge that beginning, if I was to rewire the rest of my story, I must acknowledge that beginning. That's why I created the Bottleneck Breakthrough Method. Step number 1 is to identify the bottleneck. This is a step where you gently acknowledge the earlier places where fear entered your life. We do not judge these moments. We recognize them. We name them. We bring awareness to them. Awareness is the first breath toward recovery. I invite you to ask yourself and to journal, what is the earliest memory where I felt unsafe? What story did I begin telling myself about the world? What belief did I carry into my relationships because of the early imprint? Once you can name the bottleneck, you can begin releasing it. You will no longer live by the script you did not write. Our spiritual reflection for today comes from Psalms 139, which tells us that God saw us while we were being formed in the secret place. That means even if your environment was unsafe, you were not abandoned. You were not forgotten. You were not overlooked. Your beginning may have been marked by fear, but your identity was always rooted in God's intention. You were created with purpose, designed with intention, and destined for recovery. If today's episode is stirring something inside you, this may be the moment your spirit is asking for deeper understanding. That's why I created Level 1, Pathways to Get Trauma Informed. Level 1 helps you understand trauma, your nervous system, the emotional roots that began long before adulthood. It is a safe space, a safe place to explore your story, reclaim your identity, and begin your recovery journey. If you are ready to take the first step, Level 1 is where your pathway begins. We are recovering one breath at a time. Give yourself grace and stay fearless. Bye for now. It's time to buckle up. No more suffering in silence. Our Power Pack journey to recovery and realignment starts now. Remember, you are collateral damage on someone else's warpath. Trauma is not your fault. Recovery, however, is your responsibility. I'm your host, Wellness Coach Liz Blanding, and this is the Get Trauma Informed podcast.